I believe that most of us are put on this planet to do more than one thing and to make a difference in more than one way. And sometimes the way we do this is by changing how we're serving people in our business. Today, I'm talking about the fine art of the pivot. It's something I've done multiple times. It might be something you're considering doing in your coaching practice and your consulting practice and whatever your business is. If so, you want to stick around and watch my interview with today's guest because she's going to be sharing, she's pivoted from one direction to a totally different direction, and she's going to be sharing 5 things that she wished she'd done differently during that pivotal season, during the pivot. So stick around.
Hi, my name is Jenn and I help new and pivoting life coaches harness the power of their authentic selves in their marketing and their mindset to connect with more of the people who need their help. If this is you, download my free quiz to find your client attraction quotient. The link is below.
If you've ever thought about changing your business direction, you're going to want to keep watching our interview today because I have with me Jenn Espinosa-Goswami, and she is a coach, a mentor, an expert who helps coaches, counselors, wellness entrepreneurs make more profit and increase their platform through public speaking. But that's not what Jenn always did. She started actually back in the day as a health and a wellness coach. And so I was really curious to talk to Jenn about her experiences pivoting her business and what we could learn from that. Because I know if you know me, you know I have pivoted a lot as well, but it's always great to kind of hear from other people as well. So Jenn, welcome.
Thank you, Jen. It's great to be here.
So tell me about how you first got into coaching.
Yeah, actually, my business Waitlist was first developed or designed to be a professional speaking company. So I became a coach after I started my business. And I had a transformational health story that I shared, and I've been in many different media outlets sharing that story about how I lost 100 pounds. So that was my signature speech that I took to the stages with the intent of helping other people take small steps to their lifestyle journey. And my audience members would come up to me afterwards and say, well, Jenn, how do I work with you? And that was before I had a coaching business. So I'm like, well, I guess you can't work with me because there's no way I offer any program or services. And I realized that that was a disservice to the people that I was speaking to and sharing my information with. So I did start coaching, helping people with their health and wellness goals. It included everything from weight loss to eating right, meal planning, the easy way without counting anything, to how to exercise outside of a gym, because I built a home gym fitness practice for many, many years, and I helped other corporate people develop their own practices and habits that they could sustain over time.
So what prompted you? Let's think if we can go back further. What prompted you to talk, like to do speeches about your weight loss journey? Because some people be like, no, I don't want to, like I'm proud of myself and I've changed my life, but I don't want to share that with anyone.
Yeah, well, I wasn't really proud of myself. I didn't really think much of the fact that I lost the weight. I was happy about it, but no one who knew me. I moved here to Minnesota shortly after I transferred colleges. So I grew up in southeastern Wisconsin, and everyone who knew me in southeastern Wisconsin knew the old me. So the me that was 100 pounds past my ideal body weight. That's what they knew about me. They knew how I was eating and that I was active, but I was still a very large woman. When I transferred to Minnesota and lost the weight after getting out of college, I didn't tell anyone because I didn't think it was important to bring. How do you bring that up into a conversation at the water cooler in the office? By the way, did you know I used to be 100 pounds heavier? That just didn't come up, and I didn't feel it was necessary to talk about it until I joined a Toastmasters group, and I ran out of subjects to talk about. When you work in financial services, you don't have a lot of good creative content to talk about. And I'm like, well, what should my next project or speech project be about? And I still was not willing to talk about myself. I titled my speech "The Loser." It was a 5 to 7 minute speech, and I did not reveal until the very end of the speech that it was actually about me. It was all third person. It was rather a beautifully designed story to help people recognize that bullying is not fun, no matter how old you are or what age you are. And at the end of it, I revealed that I was the person in the story. And one of my mentors came up to me in Toastmasters. I respected this woman so much. She was an officer of the club. She was the best speaker I'd ever heard to that point. And she said, Jen, that was so fabulous. I need to do something different about my own health and wellness. And so I realized if that's what could be accomplished in 5 minutes, what could be accomplished in 25 minutes or 55 minutes? Um, I realized that my voice could have an impact on other people through just sharing some of the things I experienced.
Yeah, very cool. I have a very similar story when I was that's how I became a dating coach. I used to be a dating coach, and I was recently divorced and I was having a really fun time dating and no one believed it. They're like, what are you talking about?
You.
Yeah, yeah. And I did this thing where I went on, I wasn't originally having a fun time dating, but then I made it my mission to learn how to have a fun time dating. So I read all these books and I went on 135 dates in 1 year.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, and I
Better
learned
you than me.
how to get my dating game on. And then I tell people I was having like all these dates and they'd be like, what, how? And they're like, teach us. And so I became a dating coach. Yeah. It's funny how like so much of where we start has to do with like our own transformation and what we've been through. So you were public speaking and then people came to you and they were asking for help. And so you became a health coach. Yeah. And so tell me, how long did you do that? And then when did you pivot? How did all that happen?
Yeah, so I started health coaching back in 2015 or 2016, depending on how you look at it. I became a full-time entrepreneur in 2016. Previous to that, I worked 16 years in financial service companies. So I wasn't speaking regularly at that time. I was kind of doing it on the side. I was hustling. I was trying to figure out how to do that without taking away from spending time with my family in the evening and weekends. And I
Yeah.
wasn't willing to make that sacrifice. So it took me some time to build up my clientele, but I still present health and wellness seminars today. And one of the things that was really challenging for me was I would share this story and people would be like, I want to work with you. And then I realized that people really needed like a process to follow. Instead of following these stupid like fad diets or, diet du jour, whether it's intermittent fasting, keto, Whole30 was big back then. I said, okay, well, how can I serve my clients and make sure that no matter where they are right now, it could be something that they could effectively use for the rest of their life, like rinse and repeat. And that wasn't being offered in the health and wellness space very much. A lot of people were focusing heavily on supplements and products and drink this, eat that. And for me, that wasn't the solution to anything. So I had been going through coaching people on different lifestyle changes through a 4-step process that I used personally for my own weight loss journey. And during the pandemic, I lost complete passion for all of it. I gained weight. I'm quite a bit heavier than I was when I was coaching my clients on their health. And it no longer felt like the right thing for me to do. It was no longer coming from a place of authenticity. I was dealing with some mental health challenges that for me were more pressing for myself and my own health, because if your mental health is in a bad place, it's hard to talk about physical health. Like it's just not
Yeah.
a priority at that point. So I didn't feel it was important for me to keep talking about how you're moving and how you're eating, because I recognized that I wasn't the only one struggling with those types of things. So I went back to my original passion, which was speaking. And I did that during 2021 was when I pivoted, but I kind of was wishy-washy, which is one of the things that I wish I had done differently. I was pretty wishy-washy about ending health coaching and beginning public speaking coaching, but I had just graduated from the Holistic Coach Training Institute as a certified coach. And I had a bunch of people in my program who were educators, who were therapists and counselors from all walks of life. And I recognized that one of the things that helped me the most with building my business from the beginning was starting with public speaking. So that's why I pivoted away from health coaching. I lost my passion, but I still had the passion for speaking, and actually speaking fueled my income during the pandemic. I was doing more virtual speaking than I had done live speaking prior to that.
That's amazing. That's amazing. Because I know for a lot of speakers, it was a tough time. Well, it was a time when you were like, what? You know, what do we do now? Like if they've been, doing live presentations before, but yeah, it switched everything around. So that's fantastic. So now you help people leverage speaking as a way to kind of grow their audience and grow their income, which is fantastic.
Absolutely. And I'm unique in the space because some people will focus more on the presentation skills part of public speaking, like how to really craft a beautiful speech, how to deliver it well. And then other people will say, I will help you find the gigs, submit the contract, follow through and get the big high ticket fees. I do both. I help you do both. So I'm not just a one stop, I'm like your one stop shop for how to make this work for your own business.
Right. Yeah. And you've been paid to do it. Like you've not just done Toastmasters, it's been like you've actually been a professional speaker. So that's pretty cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So what did you like looking back now? We're in 2022, almost the end of 20, well, yeah, almost the end of 2022. So what did you learn? Like what would you do different if you had to go back and kind of do that? Because change is so awkward, isn't it? It's so like, oh, I'm here and I'm here and I'm here and I'm here and I don't know where I'm going. And yeah, like what would you do different?
Yeah, well, one of the things that really came clear for me when you asked me this question initially was I totally changed my audience. I was previously speaking to corporate company employees who wanted to improve their health and wellness. So I was doing private individual coaching for those people. And now I'm like, now I help people build their business or sell their books. So authors, coaches, consultants, that's a totally different market. And I recognized that I didn't have a lot of connections on social media or anyone in that market. So I kind of had to build my client base from scratch and starting from scratch, which was a unique experience.
Yeah, because before you were more like, I would say like, was it B2C? Was it B2B? Like, was it business to business or was it more like business to consumer? And now you're business to small business.
Elements of both, because
Yeah.
business to business for the speaking piece, I sell to companies and
Yeah.
associations, but then, C to C because like I'm a single business selling to individuals for the health coaching and now I'm B2B.
Right, right. So, okay, so one thing is looking at your audience, like being really clear on who your audience is, right? And recognizing that like looking for people who are in that audience a lot faster. Yeah.
Very much. Yes. And I spent a lot of my time previously on Facebook and there was the great exodus from Facebook during this time when people weren't trusting what was being shared, who were on their connections or their friend groups.
Yeah.
I'd participated in a lot of online business, Facebook groups, but they were not my ideal market. So I had to pivot away from Facebook and look more at places like LinkedIn or Instagram, where
Yeah.
coaches more hang out.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. So looking at your audience, what was the second thing that you would do differently or that you learned?
I took a look at all of the things that I launched that first year with public speaking, and I launched so many things, June. It was a disaster. I pretty much was like throwing everything against the wall, and I was like, let's see what sticks.
Yeah.
I think I launched like 10 different programs, and my enrollment was very low because I kept on launching new things, and people were getting confused about what my actual offer was.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, so I know there's like, have you heard that term focus? Follow one course until successful, right? Or focus on
Oh,
like,
I haven't heard that acronym.
yeah, I love this. It's my friend gave me this and I use it all the time. Yeah, it's follow one course until successful, then do the next course, right? But it's so easy, especially when you're new and you're like, I have all these ideas about this new direction. I could go this way, this way, this way. I can't tell you how many courses I've developed and never launched. Like ideas for like we could do this and we could do this and we could do this. Like I have so many programs that I've just never launched because you just can't launch them all. And it does, it's yeah. So stick with what would you say? Like stick with one, like stick with like one or two, like an introductory offer and something else, or what would you say?
Yeah, so I mean, map out your client path. I wasn't clear on my client path. Like I had a couple different programs that I was really aligned with, but they didn't connect with each other and it wasn't part of the path the client would walk with me. So I was like, oh, well, there's this thing about, being on camera, which I called confidence on camera. But then there was this thing about signature speech, and there was not really a connection between the two. And it took
Mhm.
some really hard conversations with myself, including with some other coaches that I worked with. And they're like, this doesn't really make sense. I'm like, oh
Mhm.
yeah, I guess it didn't make sense.
Yeah. Cool. So simplify. Yeah.
Simplify one thing
Simplify.
consistently until you sell.
Right. Okay. What's number three?
What the other thing, which I mentioned earlier in the introduction, was that I was being very wishy-washy with saying no to health coaching. So I was still accepting health coaching clients through the summer of 2021, even though technically I launched the new direction of my business in January that year. So I
Hmm.
held on for 6, 7 months to this health coaching concept. And unfortunately, again, I was confusing my clients. They're like, is she a health coach? What does she do now? What is she talking about? And I thought, oh, I'll just discount the health coaching and, have a sayonara party of my health coaching. And it didn't sell because people were confused by what I was doing. So if you're pivoting, commit to the pivot, commit to the new direction, and don't just like kind of go in and out of, oh, today I'll do this one and tomorrow I'll do that other one.
Yeah. Although sometimes you do, like, I mean, financially, if you're supporting yourself solely with your business, sometimes that is necessary to kind of stick, but I think it's where your marketing efforts go. That's the difference, right? Like, what is it that you're putting yourself out there as?
Yes, and that's a good point, because if someone had come to me via referral or because they had been in my community previously, of course I would have accepted them as a client, but I was actively still marketing health coaching, and that was not the best way to build my public speaking business.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So what else did you learn?
The other thing has to do with website. Now, I'm a person who doesn't believe you need a website to sell and to be, a good business and things like that. But my old website, my old branding, it's all still there. And so I got kind of embarrassed by my website, and I wouldn't drive traffic to my website at all. I still don't. I use a Linktree link on all of my connections. And so
Hmm.
I don't drive people to my website, even though the content on my website is updated with my new business direction and my new branding and new pictures. But unfortunately, I was hacked and some other things happened, and I didn't want to sink a bunch of money into updating my website. So I kind of left it as it was and kind of like pasted over the new direction.
Hmm.
It's not something I'm proud of. Like my website is not something that I would share with people and say, hey, check out my website. It is still my digital home, but it's not a home that I invite a lot of people over to.
Right. But I like what you said. Like, you absolutely do not need a website. You need a presence somewhere that people can go and get a sense of who you are and what your expertise is, but you don't need a website. But yeah, definitely updating your website is something. I actually have a workshop coming up on this. We're going to be doing this in October. So yeah, there's a workshop coming up on how to craft a website that reflects your worth. So I'll put the link down below if anybody's in a similar situation where they're like, I need to change my website. But yeah, doing the website. But you know what? The flip side of that is you can spend all your time just perfecting your website, which is something that I get when I change directions. I kind of like, I go, and then you're not interacting with people. So sometimes the website, and I think you've got it right there, is not the priority, right? But changing
Yeah,
your website is helpful. Yeah.
I agree. Yeah, very good points here. Don't waste all your time on your website when you're pivoting, especially when you're new to the pivot. But
Hmm.
definitely be clear about what you're, if you are sending people there, be sure there's a good page you're sending them to that does have your new business direction.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. Okay. Anything else?
Um, yes. So one of the things that I focused on in the very beginning when I pivoted, because I had just graduated from a coach training program, I was kind of listening to what was happening in our coaching sessions and what people were looking to do as they opened their coaching business. So these were people who were new to coaching. They were looking at either side hustling, their coaching business on top of their corporate or 9 to 5 jobs, or they were looking to go full time in coaching. So they were brand new within their first year startup coaching business. And I was offering them programs, and they were like, yes, I'm excited. Yes, this is interesting. But it wasn't the right place or stage of their business for me to talk to them about what I do, because
Right.
I realized that the best fit client for me are coaches who are already in business, have already secured a few clients, have already done some things, they have some of their marketing, they have some of their messaging, they have a platform that they're growing, but they want to get there faster, quicker, easier through public speaking. But they have to have that experience with already having worked with coaching clients. And I didn't recognize that in the beginning. So I did spend a lot of time going back and forth with people brand new to coaching.
Hmm.
And what I kept hearing was, oh, I've got to work on my website first. Or, oh, I've got this course I'm working on.
Yeah.
Or, I don't
I
have
get
any
that.
clients yet. I need to wait for that invoice to come in. And I totally get it. We've
Yeah.
all been there. But I was like, oh, these are probably not the best, market for me right now.
Yeah. So getting clear on what stage your audience is at in terms of where they are in their journey.
Very much.
Yeah.
Yes. Absolutely.
Yeah, fantastic. So was that 5?
That was 5. Yeah,
Okay,
so going down the list, not updating the website, launching everything right away without establishing consistency, being wishy-washy with going from your old business to your new business model, knowing where to market to your clients, like what is the platform that they're already hanging out on. For me, I shifted from Facebook to LinkedIn. And then what stage is your audience in, and where can you enter into that conversation?
fantastic. Good things to know. And what is something that you think you did right?
Such a great question. Well, the good news is when I started my company as a professional speaker, I have always had a signature speech. And that's one thing that I love helping people with because it's difficult, as we've heard from today's lessons, to select a single topic to speak upon. And that's a challenge many of my coaching clients have. So I always had a signature speech. When I started pivoting my business, I knew exactly what my signature speech was. It's still the same signature speech. I just change the title from time to time, depending who I'm talking to. So it all starts with being clear on what that signature speech is and clear, consistent call to action that follows from that signature speech. So that's one thing I definitely did okay.
You know, you're speaking. Yes.
Right.
That's good. And how do you feel about having made the pivot now? Like now you're kind of mostly 100% into the speaking part of things. Yeah. How do you feel about your decision?
I feel good about it because I really do think that the narrative around health has changed in the past few years. I don't know if you've experienced this as well, but many people are, we're in a body positive culture, we're in a throwaway plus size and things like that. So weight loss is not part of the conversation anymore, which I'm happy about because when I coach clients, it wasn't really about weight loss, it was about confidence
Yeah.
and their ability to change and transform. So I'm so happy that the language around that is changing. And I was getting a little frustrated with what I saw in the industry with Instagram and some of the gurus out there and what they were teaching. So I'm very happy where I am with public speaking. I know all of us have a voice. Not all of us have an indication or a desire to change our health or change our lifestyle, but every
Hmm.
single one of us has a voice. And every single one of us is passionate about something. So I love helping people connect their passion to their voice and then share that message in a broader way.
Fantastic. And the through line is you're helping people with their confidence, which is what you've been doing all along.
Right? Yeah, some things never change.
Yeah. Very cool. So Jenn, how can people get in touch with you if they want to work with you or find out more?
Yeah,
Don't go
well,
to
I'll
the website.
check out my website. Yes, my website is still weightlesschronicles.com, but you can also follow me on Instagram at Jenn with 2 N's spin go. And I'll also include my calendar link. I mentioned a resource in the beginning of this presentation around your signature speech and how important it was to building my own business. So I
Hmm.
provided a free template that folks can download, and I'll make sure that you have the link for that to put in the show notes.
Fantastic. Well, Jenn, thank you so much for being here today and sharing your story. And if you're watching this and you found this helpful, give it a thumbs up so more people will find it. If you've pivoted your business, comment in the business in the comments below. Comment below and let us know how. I'd love to hear what you've gone from and to, because as we all know, business is definitely a journey. And if you haven't subscribed, subscribe to this channel so you'll never miss an interview, you'll never miss a valuable tip, you'll never miss an insight that can help you on the path towards the coaching career of your dreams. You got this.